lot of interesting and exciting changes are happening in organizations, but as with any change, there's also challenges. And some of the biggest challenges that are on tops of CEOs today is how do they actually maintain that talent in their organizations, right? How do they grow them? And a big part of that is trust. It's building that trust. It's building that environment where, you know, people can share and they can progress and they can build that loyalty essentially with their team members. And this is a real challenge right now. And I love the way Simon Sinek, so Ivan, you know, he's one of my favorite kind of leaders in this space.
Oh, yes.
And I love when he talks about that, you know, building trust and, you know, whether in relationships or just in general, it's like falling in love essentially. So he's saying that, you know, it's not like a person just loves you from the beginning, right? So same thing, you don't just trust somebody from the beginning. It's these small little things that they do. In an organization, it's those conversations, you know, right before you start your meeting. It's that little message to check up on each other. It's, you know, meeting them for lunch and etc. It's those small little interactions that build trust. And that's what he was referring to as falling in love. And also another good example that he mentions is it's like brushing teeth, right? If we brush our teeth every day, it's just a small, insignificant little task that we have to do, hopefully twice a day, right? And over a long period of time, what it will prevent is it will prevent cavities, it will prevent different challenges. So, but it's consistent, small little things that we, small habit that we have to do that adds to those big results. So same idea about trust. So this is an important topic, and I'm really glad we're discussing it. Hi guys, Elena here from Western. If you're enjoying this episode, please make sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on weekly new videos that we have coming out on personal and professional development topics. Also, feel free to send your questions and engage with us and comment in the YouTube videos in the comments section below. Now back to the episode.
Elena, I agree 100%, and thanks for the reference to something that is quite dear to the work that we do at Western, which is basically behavioral science. So how do you continuously build with micro habits reference to a practice that needs to be, that is made, in fact, of things that are contributing finally to build the trust in organizations. Now, what I may not agree is about that. For me, in fact, love is a little bit of an irrational thing that is happening, but trust as such, it is something that is quite powerful and is anchored in the biology of human beings. And I will tell you why. But first of all, I want to link trust with the outcomes that it can bring to organizations. So when we are comparing with people at low trust company, cultures that are a little bit rotten, cultures that are not good enough for people, and we compare it with high trust companies. In fact, there is research showing that the organization people, in fact, have 74% less stress. The energy at work increases by 106%. Awesome numbers. There is 50% higher productivity, 13% fewer sick days, 76% of more engagement, 29% of more satisfaction with the life, and something that is quite important in today's world is 40% less burnout. So it has a correlation with how much an organization can progress, be more profitable. It is not simply because I like it, because it's going to make people just be nice with each other. So coming back to the science behind, there is a research that was done that when there is an environment of trust, our brain produces a chemical called oxytocin. So that shows, that facilitates this collaboration and teamwork that makes it easy. So whenever there is trust, there is this oxytocin that we can detect. And by the way, it's detectable by doing blood examination.
On your blood, yeah. Mm.
Exactly. So this is a neurological signal that indicates that we should trust someone. And what happens is that some research was done with rats. Yes, rats. And the experimentation was about how can they recognize two rats who don't know each other. How can they recognize that it's safe to approach another rat that you don't know? And this is where they map the production of oxytocin with this trust that it can be. How can, if I am approaching someone that I don't know, how did it happen? And that was like put in the context of an assessing what are the parameters that drive this effect of trust in human beings. So what we know from the rats is that there is this production of oxytocin when two rats trust each other. And in human beings, in fact, there was a very thorough research that was done across different countries of the world to understand, in fact, if the context, the culture, the origin of people had something to do. So if the research came from the United States up to New Guinea, so in tribes that do not have this context of the modern world. And so, there was an identification of certain behaviors that generate trust. But let me just open a parenthesis and mention something that trust building goes beyond these psychological facts that you hear very often in the corporate world, like, hey, let's go out in the restaurant and let's sing together, let's do a team building exercise, because the brain doesn't sustain this effort, and in fact it is just something that doesn't last so much. So coming back to the behaviors that stimulate this production of oxytocin, parentheses, equal to the trust factor, it is one, when you are recognizing the work of someone. So basically, when you acknowledge that someone is doing a great work in front of other people, you are building the trust. So when you're openly saying it, when you are doing something that is a little bit challenging, in fact, and it's quite linked to a topic that we spoke about in a previous Learn with Besson, which is about the concept of flow. And when you are in the flow and you are doing something that is not boring, it's not routine, but it's something a little bit more challenging, you are kind of challenging your stress. It's not wow in stress, it's just average stress, because there needs to be a minimum of stress in order to feel that you are doing something that you are passionate about it. That builds trust. The third point is about giving the people the possibility to decide how to do their work. So having this a little bit of autonomy. So there is goals that needs to be achieved in any corporation, but making people find out how they can achieve their work, and giving them the possibility to be more creative about how they do it, that's something that generates good level of trust. Another point is about letting people decide how to craft the job description. So giving them the possibility to decide, there is all these things in the corporation that needs to be done. Can I, as a finance manager, work a little bit with the marketing team, right? I'm learning something new. This is exciting, and that builds connections and trust in organization. How can you make them take a little bit of the time that they have available to work in other projects and that they decided by themselves, basically? Another thing, and this is common knowledge, and I'm pretty sure that you will tell me, Ivan, but you are repeating something. It is about how to be open, transparent regarding communication, to say things as they are, to don't paint it in white, to don't paint it in different colors so that it looks beautiful, but in reality, people feels when there is bad things happening in the organization, and you should be communicating these bad things in a direct manner, or even when things are going awesome. Another thing, intentionally building relationships. That means that it goes beyond just discussing work. It is about people. It is about the person. When you are working in an environment where you can share with your peers, with your co-founder like us, and share a little bit of personal things, you feel connected. So building the relationship, asking about, hey, Elena, how are you doing? How is the family doing? How is mama doing? And so on. That is something that enhances the level of trust. and this should be done with a certain level of vulnerability. That means that I should be open enough to share with others about, hey, when I don't know, I should ask my team, I should ask my peers. I shouldn't be knowing everything around my job description. And that is something that is quite powerful, in fact, to say, hey, but this guy is not ashamed, he's my leader, or he's my co-worker, or he's my peer, and he's open about what he doesn't know. Finally, and that is a point that is more addressed for leaders, is to help people, in fact, not only in the growth of their career, but letting them also grow at the personal level, right? It is not only about acquiring new skills about data science. It is about, hey, how can you use a skill like being more confident at work or communicating it that is for you, letting decide to your peers, to your people, the things that they can make them grow and satisfied at the personal level. And funny enough, when I'm talking about it, I quite related to our program, Elena. Just Lead, the program for leadership that we have been using already for quite a while, and it's quite popular in organization. It is just about building better cultures and creating leadership that can really display the different behaviors that we have mentioned in order to build this trust and make then this production of oxytocin, and then make people be more productive, more energetic, less stressed, more engaged at work, and more satisfied about where they are at the personal level, because culture is made by people, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think you've really nicely touched points on, from an individual perspective, kind of things we have to consider, and also from a leadership perspective. So it's so important. It's quite simple. It's just consistency. That's it. That's where it's at.
Great. Thanks.